It is August the 2nd, and this is Political Palette. This week, the U.S. successfully negotiated the release of several Americans from Russian detention. President Biden labeled the exchange a feat of diplomacy. Also, Kamala Harris is looking for a running mate. Yep, she's officially the Democratic Party's nominee, and she has been confirmed by the DNC. That and more in today's episode. Hey everybody, it's Matty. In a move that marks one of the most extensive exchanges of its kind, the U.S. successfully negotiated the release of several Americans from Russian detention. Among them are notable figures like Evan Gershkovich, a Wall Street Journal journalist, Paul Whelan, a former Marine, and Alsu Kurmasheva, an RFE/RL journalist who had been imprisoned for many months. This swap didn't just involve Russia and the US, it was coordinated effort, including multiple nations like Germany, Turkey, Poland, Slovenia, and Norway. So why is the swap so significant? Well, Germany played a crucial role by agreeing to release Vadim Gershkovich, a former FSB colonel, which was a particularly sensitive aspect of the deal. The multi-country negotiation highlights the global stakes involved in the intricate balance between securing freedom for detained citizens and managing international relations. I would also like to apologize about the pronunciation of some of these names. I apologize in advance. Evan Gershkovich, a journalist detained under charges widely seen as politically motivated, his release signifies a triumph for press freedom and advocates globally. Paul Whelan, accused of espionage, Whelan's case had been a focal point of tension between Washington and Moscow. His release was celebrated as a long-awaited victory for his family and supporters. And Alsu Kurmasheva, a journalist for RFE/RL. Her story resonated emotionally as her family shared touching moments during the release celebration. These individuals' releases represent not just a diplomatic win, but also a profound personal relief for their families. Now, it's important to say this swap isn't just about the individuals involved, it's about the broader implications for U.S. Russia relations. Critics, including some political figures in the U.S., argue that such exchanges may incentivize future detentions as bargaining chips. Meanwhile, Russia's response, including President Putin's comments welcoming the freed Russian citizens, adds layers to the geopolitical narrative. William Courtney, a former U.S. ambassador, notes that this exchange might signal Russia's interest in improving its international image. However, with ongoing conflicts and political tensions, the path forward remains uncertain. So what could we expect next? This swap could pave the way for more diplomatic engagement, but it also sets a complex precedent. The U.S. has shown a willingness to negotiate, but at what cost? And how will this affect global perception of both nations? Vice President Kamala Harris, who played a key role in this negotiation, has been vocal about the importance of such diplomatic efforts. As she positions herself for the upcoming election, this episode might play a crucial role in shaping her foreign policy agenda. Now, as I continue the story, I'd like to say something that was a little funny to me that happened during this whole event, right? So, pretty much the press said said to President Biden, a reporter said to Biden, Trump said that he would get these people out of Russia without even sending over any prisoner. He wouldn't even have to do a swap. He would just get the citizens home right away. Well, Biden's beautiful response, by the way, was, did Trump do that while he was in office? No. I mean, I'm not going to quote that, obviously, but he did say along the lines of that. And honestly, it just nice, right? To see Biden out there greeting these people, hugging them, supporting their families, inviting them to the Oval Office, doing all of this. It's a great deal for diplomacy, honestly. And it's nice to see that America is protecting its citizens. And you can feel comfortable knowing that America's going to have your back. If it should the worst case scenario happen, you end up in a country like Russia. I mean, I wouldn't go to Russia. I wouldn't recommend it. But if you end up in a country like Russia and you wrongfully get prosecuted, America's going to be there to help you out, right? So, I mean, speaking of that, I just want to say a little side note here. I recently got my passport. I actually applied for it at the post office today, August the 2nd. I am due to receive it in about 8 weeks. But, you know, I feel like having your American passport, that is the most powerful thing you could have as an American citizen. But I also think it's important that you should be careful in other countries. You don't want things like this to happen, especially if you're a journalist. I mean, these folks were journalists, right? And Evan from the Wall Street Journal, he was just showing the truth, right? He was publishing perspective and truth and facts, and that got him easily imprisoned. So that was a shame on its behalf. So I would just have to say that we need more of this. We need more awareness, but also at the same time, we can't let them win. We have to continue to speak out. We have to continue to speak about what Russia's doing and how they're being bad and the human rights violations that are occurring. That is tremendously important, and we can never forget that. Now, I wanted to say President Biden did an incredible job during this diplomacy. And obviously, it's not just Biden. It's his incredible diplomacy team, Secretary Anthony Blinken, and others who were involved in this whole process, and along with other countries too, just like they mentioned, right? So I would just have to say that this is a good thing overall, and we want to see this happen. We don't want to see people trapped in a country like that forever. Now, speaking of the diplomacy, right, I wanted to bring up a story that actually happened last year around July 18th. So it's about a year ago at this point. So I think we know that Army Travis T. King has been released to U.S. custody after a multi-week diplomatic effort to secure his return from North Korea. So this actually did happen where this Army soldier actually crossed into North Korea. They had detained him, took him in for a few weeks, and then the U.S. successfully took him out of North Korea without actually having to give anything back. Now, that is interesting to me. I don't know what they were thinking, honestly. Like, maybe North Korea wanted to do some type of new thing where they would show, like, hey, we're mature or whatever. I mean, they completely could have used that as leverage, though, for sure. But I think it's worth noting, you know, that situation happened. It was not widely reported on the media as much as it should have been, but the United States government, they still came through. They still came through and got Travis out of North Korea as they should. And honestly, this right should be protected to all of us if anything were to happen. Now, I wanted to enter into the next topic. So let's talk a little bit about what Kamala Harris has been up to. So, with Joe Biden stepping down from his re-election bid, Kamala Harris has emerged as the Democratic frontrunner, and all eyes are on who she would choose as her running mate. The stakes couldn't be higher, as this decision will shape the campaign and can potentially influence the outcome of the election. So, who are the key contenders, and what do they bring to the table? Let's break it down. First, let's talk about why the VP pick is so crucial. Historically, vice presidential picks have been used to balance the ticket, appeal to specific demographics, or secure votes in swing states. But there's more to it than just that. The vice president must be ready to step into the top job at a moment's notice. Remember, 9 vice presidents have unexpectedly ascended to the presidency in U.S. history. Kamala Harris knows this well. Having selected by Joe Biden as his running mate in 2020, now the tables have turned, and she must make a choice that reassures voters of her team's readiness to lead. It's a delicate balance of politics, policy, and personality. Now, I wanted to take a look at some of the frontrunners for Harris's VP pick. The shortlist is fascinating, with a mix of experienced politicians from key battleground states. This is the key, by the way, that Kamala needs to win Pennsylvania in order to win the presidency. So first up is Josh Shapiro. As you will know, as a podcast listener, I love Josh Shapiro. Okay, I wanted to just put that out there. I think he's been a tremendous governor so far, doing absolutely incredible things for our great state of Pennsylvania here. If you didn't know, I actually was born and raised here in Pennsylvania. I never left as of yet, and I don't have any plans on leaving. So Shapiro has gained a reputation as a strong contender due to his electoral success in Pennsylvania, a critical swing state. He won his gubernatorial race by a large margin and appeals to both urban and rural voters. His experience as Pennsylvania's Attorney General adds to his credentials, but it's not all smooth sailing. Shapiro has faced criticism from some progressive factions within the Democratic Party, primarily for his stance on Israel. His handling of certain controversies during his tenure as governor might also pose challenges. The question is, though, can he help navigate these waters while securing crucial votes in the Rust Belt? Personally, I think he could do it, but who knows? There are also other picks on this list who I would love to see potentially as VP. So next on the list is Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona. Kelly's battleground as a former NASA astronaut and Navy captain gives him a unique appeal. He's known for his ability to connect with independents and moderates, making him a valuable asset in swing states. And his expertise on border issues could address one of Harris's vulnerabilities. However, Kelly's stance on labor issues has raised eyebrows, and his departure from the Senate could risk losing a key seat to Republicans. The balancing act here is whether his strengths outweigh these potential pitfalls. Then, of course, we have Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. Walz brings a diverse background, including experience as a teacher and a member of the National Guard. His progressive agenda in Minnesota shows his capability to enact significant change. He's also familiar with Washington politics, which could make him a strong governing partner for Harris. But Walz's national profile isn't as prominent as some others, and he might not bring the same level of excitement or recognition to the ticket. Will his steady approach resonate with voters on a national scale? I guess we'll find out the answer to that question in just a few weeks. Now, Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, is another intriguing option. His success in a traditionally Republican state demonstrates his ability to attract conservative voters. Beshear's focus on health care and education aligns with core Democratic values. However, Beshear's national influence may be limited, and his stance on certain issues might not resonate with more progressive elements of the party. Can he broaden his appeal beyond Kentucky? And then finally, we have Roy Cooper, the governor of North Carolina. Cooper's success in a swing state highlights his ability to win over moderate voters. His emphasis on economic development and education could be assets in a national campaign. Yet Cooper's profile might not be as high as other contenders, such as Shapiro, which we've mentioned earlier. And there might be concerns about his ability to energize the national base. Can he really bring that enthusiasm needed for a Harris ticket? Now, I wanted to throw a little wild card in this list of potential candidates. I know it wasn't initially in my script, but I did want to do a little bit more of a deeper explanation about this person, since I personally feel like we cannot go wrong with most of these candidates. I mean, Shapiro or the one I'm about to mention. So Pete Buttigieg, we all know him, Department of Transportation. He's leading the infrastructure bill, which is the best bill in American history to date. Pete Buttigieg, the current, and by the way, the best infrastructure bill in U.S. history to date. That's what I'm going to say. Pete Buttigieg, the current Secretary of Transportation and former mayor of South Bend, India, is a compelling potential vice presidential pick for Kamala Harris. He brings a strong blend of communication skills, regional balance, and experience that could enhance Harris's 2024 campaign. Known for his articulate public speaking, Buttigieg has demonstrated his ability to connect with diverse audiences, making him a valuable asset in debates and media engagement. And as a Midwesterner, he offers geographical balance to Harris's Californian roots, potentially attracting voters from key swing states in the heartland. Additionally, Buttigieg's tenure as Transportation Secretary has provided him with critical executive experience managing national crises and infrastructure challenges. At 42, he represents a younger generation of political leaders and is the first openly gay cabinet member, which can energize the Democratic base and appeal to progressive and younger voters. Despite lacking statewide office experience, his national popularity and success in polls make him a noteworthy contender in the VP race. And sources have recently said that President Biden actually loves one of Harris's potential VP picks. And Pete Buttigieg met with Harris for 90 minutes today, actually, on a one-on-one session to talk a little bit about the position. So I just want to say a little bit. I mean, I know that source is saying that, hey, Biden is pretty much, he loves one of these candidates. Well, I know what candidate he likes because Joe has always spoke very highly of Pete in the past, even comparing him like a son, like Bo, to him. And that's something that he would never say lightly. So I just want to throw that out there. Pete is a very real possibility. I feel like Shapiro or Pete, we can't go wrong with them both. And also Mark Kelly could be an interesting pick, honestly, but I don't know how much he's going to really add to the ticket overall. But I could see either of those three pretty much being Kamala's VP, and I really don't think it's going to be anybody else other than those three. But we'll see what happens next, obviously, in this crazy campaign. And actually, it's going to happen by Monday, so as soon as Sunday, we could actually hear something about the VP pick. Now, I will say, the next show we have, episode 12, is actually going to be talking about Harris's VP pick, because by then we're already going to know what one of these candidates is going to be Kamala's VP pick. So stay tuned for that. We're going to kind of unpack all of this information, kind of look into this. Does this help? Does this hurt Harris? And then we'll go into all that information and dive it together. So yeah. It's time for Matty's point of view. Are you ready? Let's start with the elephant in the room, Donald Trump. I get what you're saying, and it makes sense, but it's completely valid for the other side, and for people in general to dislike Trump. Lots of people do not like his personality or demeanor, and it's just not a matter of policy disagreements. It's about his style, his approach, and the way he carries himself as a leader. Many see him as a disruptor, someone who challenges the status quo. But here's the thing, not everybody wants the status quo challenged on the way he does it. The name-calling, the dismissive attitude towards those who disagree, and the tendency to divide rather than unite. It's something that doesn't sit well with many Americans. And let's be honest, it's not just about him. There's a significant portion of the Republican Party that seems intent on taking away freedoms that many of us hold dear. Look at what's happening with gay marriage, book bans, imprisonment of journalists, and the idea of slapping FCC fines on certain news networks. To me, this sounds a lot like Russia, a place where only state-approved media is allowed and where people can express themselves freely. Think about it. The Republicans already succeeded in ending Roe v. Wade. Women lost the right to full body autonomy in 2023. And then there are the lies, the misinformation, like saying Democrats want to kill babies at 9 months. That is just simply not true. It's outright illegal. And honestly, there's a lot of dishonesty on both sides. How many other freedoms will they go for next? Now, let's shift gears and talk about something that's been on my mind a lot lately. Immigration. Yes, the border is out of control. Frankly, we need an entire new immigration system and a new way of legally processing and background checking individuals. I think that needs a change, for sure. But putting up a wall isn't going to stop people from coming in. When you have sophisticated individuals who can climb over or cut through it, it seems like a band-aid solution. Instead, what we need is good policy and new enforcement measures using technology to help mitigate the situation. We are a country of immigrants, that's a fact, but we should come in the right way, just like our ancestors did. I think a lot of trades that us, lazy Americans, refuse to do, such as contracting, landscaping, etc., those general labor jobs are more and more suited towards immigrants coming into our country for the first time, especially because most of us don't want to do them in this generation. Without a balance in the system, certain industries will collapse. Now, I want to talk a little bit about something affecting every single one of us. Inflation. Inflation is a worldwide problem that every country is dealing with. America is currently handling it better than most, and it's an international issue that requires a global response. The cost of living is skyrocketing. Groceries, gas, housing, you name it. Prices are up, and while it's easy to point fingers and blame the current administration or the last one, we need to recognize that this is a complex issue. It's not something that can be fixed overnight, but it worries me even more that two primary issues are being ignored by most presidential candidates. Two very real challenges we're going to face like a brick wall. Artificial intelligence and birth rates. Yes, you heard me right. Artificial intelligence and birth rates. This technology, if left unregulated, will cause a flurry of issues. Maybe not for our current generation, but in a few short decades, it'll cause a labor crisis, replacing hundreds of thousands of jobs. Imagine a world where machines do everything, from driving our cars to diagnosing our illnesses. While that might seem nice, it's not entirely, because people are just pushed out of that whole equation. And on top of that, we're faced with brand new national security challenges and a piece of technology that could potentially outsmart us. This will happen. It's not speculation, it's a reality we're going to face. And yet, it's not being discussed enough. We need regulation, we need guidelines, we need to ensure that AI works for us, not against us. It's a delicate balance, but it's one that must be struck if we want to avoid the chaos that could ensue. And then there's the silent crisis, the issue of birth rates. I've been an advocate for years of the government incentivizing people to have families. It's getting pretty scary. Take Japan, for instance. Their birth rate has been declining for decades, and in 2023, it reached a record low. The fertility rate, which is the average number of children a woman is expected to have in her lifetime, was 1.2 in 2023, down from 1.26 in 2022. This is a lower than the 2.1 rate needed for a population to remain stable, and America is dealing with similar issues. Funnily enough, the only thing keeping America steadily growing is immigration. Otherwise, our population would be slowly shrinking as well. A lot of this is due to economic stagnation and inflation. People don't want to start a family. It's too expensive. And in South Korea, they're offering $75,000 for people to have a kid. It is a true crisis that we must get on top of before it's too late. There are so many issues in the world that need to be dealt with and addressed, and I want to stay positive and hope that our generation can tackle this. But we need young and inspiring leaders who can do the job. America is tired of hiring old people to run our government. Why do we even endorse it? We need real change. Talk is cheap. Think about it. The thing that concerns me about Trump and Kamala is that they are both all talk, no actions, or concrete plans in place. No step-by-step plan on how they will fix things. Trump can be like, I'll fix inflation, but never tell us how. Kamala could be like, I'll restore Roe versus Wade, but there's no guaranteed path to that unless you get everybody to agree, which is nearly impossible. We need leaders who will do more than just talk. We need action. We need a clear vision for the future, a roadmap that takes us from where we are now to where we want to be. It's not enough to make promises. We need results. But yeah, all we can do is hope for the best. Let our voice be heard and go from there. Someday I hope to personally be involved in politics and help change the bureaucracy, because America will always be the greatest place in the world. And as long as we keep our spirit, no matter who runs our government, we are always America. We are living in the best time of our lives, regardless of all the drama. We live in one of the most prosperous democracies and thriving economies in the world. Other countries love when we put down our country and flag, but we can't let them get what they want. We must continue to shine America pride together. So there you have it, folks. That's Matty's point of view. I hope this segment has given you some food for thought and perhaps even inspired you to think about the issues we're facing in a new light. Remember, it's not just about talking, it's about taking action, making a difference, and ensuring that our voices are heard. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special episode of Political Palette, and until next time, keep questioning, keep discussing, and keep pushing for a better future. Let's make sure that our America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, continues to be a place where everyone can thrive. Remember, you can follow me on all social media at Matty Unhinged or Matty.unhinged on Instagram. MattyUnhinged.com is my personal website and the only website you'll find me at. But wait, I want to hear your thoughts. Send in your voice note up to 90 seconds in length at speakpipe.com/politicalpalette. Have an incredible week ahead, and I'll see you in the next one.